Toastmasters. Oh, yeah, there we go. Let's start over again. Fellow Toastmasters of AM Lockport, as we begin this cycle of Toastmasters, let us reflect on why we are here, what we hope to accomplish, and enjoying life. May all of us find strength, wisdom, and value in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Could everyone please mute their mics and we'll do the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone. And I see we do not have any guests, unfortunately, but how's everyone on this June 24th? Pretty good? Good. Any announcements? David.
Tom's Diner is ready to go.
Okay, that's
I was
good.
there yesterday. I presided over a meeting of the Lockport Sunrise Optimist Club. And we are more than welcome back. And I believe that even though he's not Wi-Fi'd out to our standards yet, and I could be wrong, I'm not that technically advanced, but we can create our own Wi-Fi hotspot, I believe, with just one phone. So I don't see anything preventing us from going back there.
Okay.
That is not true, David.
All right, I didn't know the particulars, Lenny.
Yeah, you did not get the bandwidth over a cell hotspot that you need to do multiple people on Zoom. We gotta have a true broadband there.
So we need to go over there and shake their tree again.
I understand we have a committee looking into it, right?
Yeah. A camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Yeah, Dave, you're on the committee anyway.
Well,
Okay, no more other, oh, Larry has an announcement. Please unmute yourself, Larry.
Yep.
We can't hear you.
Oh, no, I was popping out another window over there. Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you to Kate Banks for assisting on Tuesday evening with the training session for the new incoming officers. And we had a nice attendance from AM Lockport there. And Kate assisted and ran the PowerPoint and things for the president training. And I wanted to just send a shout out. Thank you to Kate for doing that and helping out with that. So thank you, Kate.
Larry, you led a great session. Thank you so much.
With no other announcements?
I do have.
Does, okay.
Yes, sorry, okay. We're trying to figure out our technology here. Just another Celtic thing, and I apologize, but we are looking for maybe a couple people to help us make announcements over the grounds during the festival this year. Ron Rates, who has always done it for us for many years, passed away this year. So if anyone, you guys are so good at speaking, obviously, that if anyone is willing to help us, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements? We will do announcements again at the end of the meeting if you think of something you would like to talk about. So let's begin our meeting. I'll introduce our Toastmaster this morning, Jackie Kenny.
Thank you, Madam. Let's see, Madam Presiding Officer of the Day. And we'll start right in to introduce some of our job holders. For instance, our Master this morning will be Beth Banks. Beth, would you like to tell us about your job, please?
Certainly, Madam Toastmaster. My job will be to count the ums, ahs, the pregnant pauses, maybe where they're not supposed to be, and keep track of that kind of thing for the day. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Toastmaster.
And our grammarian, Margot Sue Bittner, will be happy to explain her job. Margot. You are muted, Margot. Margot, you're muted. If you're talking to us, we're not hearing you.
We may have to come back to Margot. She's having some
Yeah,
computer
she seems
issues.
to be having a little technical issue. I don't see our word master this morning, Samir. So perhaps someone would like to be thinking about a word in case he doesn't make it in with us this morning. But in the meantime, let's have a quote from Jen Zapla. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Jackie. I do have a quote this morning. To lead people, walk beside them. As for the best leaders, the people do not notice their existence. When the best leader's work is done, the people say, we did it ourselves.
Very nice. Thank you. And Margot, have you managed to get your sound on? Can we hear from you?
I think
There we
I've got.
Yes. Oh, in and out. Now you're frozen. Okay, Margot's not having a good morning, I think.
I think internet issues.
It must be a lake effect, something or other.
Lake effect, that's it. All right, let's move to the tech and gesture master. Muklas, would you like to tell us about your job this morning?
Good morning to fellow Toastmasters. What a wonderful summer beginning, nice weather. I love the flowers that Jill puts behind her, and it changes with the season. According to her, she just took the picture last night. So I think the backgrounds makes it more interesting. I don't know what flowers are those behind Tom Moran, but these are all good, having various things behind makes it more interesting. As far as gesture master, I think David Licata is the master of gesture. I think our job is to show as much connections with speech, with hand gesture, face gesture. I think Tracy does a wonderful job of facial. I think if some of you notice, she smiles a lot and she also shows passion in her speeches through gestures. So overall, gestures, voice fluctuations are too important. And the background makes it more interesting in the current Zoom world. Madam Toastmaster, I'll report at the end of all significant ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muklas. Now, we also have a quiz master, but I don't see her on this morning. So we seem to be having some gaps this morning. I have no word master. I have no quiz master, but Kate is telling me that she has a word. And no one else has volunteered, Kate. So if you could share that word with us, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, can you hear me? Not on an echo. Excellent. Excellent practice for later as well. I've been holding on to this word, halcyon, back in the halcyon days of glory. Halcyon means peaceful or calm or prosperous, happy, golden, affluent. It's all of that. And so it's kind of like the golden days or the golden years were the halcyon days or the halcyon years. But it also means peaceful or calm because it's from old Greek stories, old Greek myths about a bird that was called the halcyon bird. And it supposedly only nested at sea at solstice. And it was during the calm times of the solstice weathers that it would calm the seas. And so the calm effect came out of the word halcyon. So I'll try to keep track of use. Please use the word halcyon.
Very good, Kate, and thanks for jumping in with that.
Madam
Can we go
Toastmaster,
back to Margot? Yes,
if you would like, I'll step in as Quizmaster if that would be helpful.
that would be very helpful. Thank you, Mark.
Anything for
Okay,
you,
Kate.
Mom.
All right, that takes you off the hook, Kate. You can concentrate on your speech then. And Margot, let's hear from Margot.
So obviously my background's changed, so I have played when I'm on my desktop instead of my iPad. So that's probably my challenge this morning. But I did bring my crown, although when I put it on earlier, nobody could see it. So I am going to be your grammarian. I'll be listening for good and poor uses of the English language and will report back at the end of the meeting. And depending on the time, it will be either a very long report or a very short report. So if you're on your P's and Q's, I can keep it short. Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. We appreciate that. And I'm sure it will be a brief report because everybody's going to be on their best behavior, watching their P's and Q's and their adjectives and adverbs this morning. Okay. We still need a jester because Ryan's not going to be here till later.
I got something.
You
I
got
got
something?
I got something.
All right, then let's hear from you.
This is for all of the 5-year-olds in us. Because 5-year-olds can either be hellions or halcyons. Very rarely are they halcyons because they like all that little devilish in them. And I'm speaking of all the boys in the club because the girls are always nice. Not hellions like us. All right, for all you 5-year-olds, what do you call a guy lying on a doorstep? Matt. What animal do you look like when you're in the bath? A little bear. I told you, for 5-year-olds. What is red and smells like blue paint? Red paint. What do you call a gorilla with bananas in its ears? Anything you like. He can't hear you. Now, one more. What do you call a fish with no eyes?
Thank you, Philip.
5-year-olds.
That is right in your wheelhouse. I know. All right. We still need a quiz master. I haven't seen Carol Ann hop on. Does anyone want to take that job or should we just let it go this morning?
Mark Campos said he would take that.
Okay, you did, Mark. All right, you're going to be busy with word master and quiz master then.
I did not accept the role of Word Master. I thought Kate did. You
Oh,
are
I'm
awkward
sorry.
today,
I'm
Mom.
sorry. I misunderstood. Okay. Then we'll keep Kate as word master and you are quiz master and all is well in our halcyon summer world. Investiture. The action of formally investing a person with rank. That's where I got my theme, investiture, because we invest people with rank in our Toastmasters Club. They accept that challenge and they invest themselves in the club, in our family that we've created in Toastmasters. So this morning, in addition to our speakers, we're going to invest rank on some of our members so they take on the challenge for the coming year of being club officers, some of them repeating their jobs and some of them taking on new challenges. But I think we should move on to table topics. And our table topics master this morning is Len Thornton. I'm sure he will be doing a masterful job at it. Take it away, Len.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm not sure everything is all set. I have woefully few people to call upon here who haven't stepped up and taken jobs. Phil just bailed himself out with Jester. Mark kind of bailed doing Quizmaster. I'm going to go to Eric Snyder, who assures me in text that he is indeed available for table topics, although he's working. I guess he's a multitasker. Eric, along the themes of investiture, what is the greatest honor or award you've ever received? Can you describe that for us? Eric Snyder.
Mr. Table Topics Master, can you call me last? I'm in the middle of driving.
We'll come back to you, Eric. Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to Michael Licata, who doesn't have a camera working, but appears to be with us. Mike, I'm going to give you the question. What's the greatest honor or award you've ever received? And describe that for us, the ceremony, the award itself, and how it made you feel. Michael Licata.
Thank you, Madam Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest this morning. Hard. I really haven't received an award in a number of years. I think I find myself very, very average and not too halcyon in the existence of everything I've done in the last couple of years. So, but I do remember winning an award at school, and probably it was at the end of high school when they announced the senior awards, and I won best attendance because I think my entire 4 years of high school I missed about 2 days of school in 4 years because I really found the value in just showing up. I think it's very, very important in this world just to show up because that's where you find a lot of success in life. And a lot of people take notice, and that's also my ability to just show up is probably one of the biggest reasons I actually graduated from college, because it's not as hard as I originally thought it was. Just by showing up, you find success in life and other endeavors as one continues to try to live a halcyon life. So the event was at the end of the year at the auditorium at Lockport High School, and I actually got to go up twice because I went up for the attendance award, and then I also went up for the another award that I won for another scholarship that I won too. So that is my experience in winning an award. And one of the traits that I have is just, I encourage everyone just to show up because you never know what's going to happen. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Michael. Thomas Heldwine, are you available? It appears you're working as well, but I see you've popped on here. I'm getting the thumbs up there. Thomas, we all set goals in life. What's an award or an achievement that you're working on that you've not yet achieved, but will certainly lead to an investiture down the road? Thomas Heldwine.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I would like to first say thank you to all the people who did show up this morning to our meeting. And I see everyone had a role, so I did jump in there for you. I've had difficulties throughout my life, and getting through them has been one of the key goals that I have, is just to make sure that I deal with everything that comes my way. Life's never easy. Things come in threes. Everyone knows that. So even though you have one problem, there's two more right around the corner. One of the things I have been working on is a goal that every year I take on something new. And this, and unfortunately, at the end of 2020, I didn't pick a new one, but you forced me into thinking about picking one. And I think that my goal for 2021 is going to be being able to run in the next year's 4th of July race on Grand Island. They have a Dick Bessel Memorial Run. He used to be the cross country coach there, and he remembers me very distinctly. And I think I'm going to work on being able to complete the 1.5 mile jog and at least get in before everyone else and not be the last person, and get back into some physical shape so that not only am I in better physical shape, but that I'm a little more immune to the COVID effects that affect people who are a little bit overweight. And that should lead to a much more halcyon life for me in the next year. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Thomas. Let's go next to Eric, who's now back with us. Eric, I know you set yourself a big goal commencing this fall, something that you're doing in a non-traditional fashion. I think it's been 10 years since you graduated high school, and we all give you kudos for pursuing further education. Please describe for us what this means to you and what came about your decision to return to college. Eric Snyder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. What prompted me to go back to school was, as working for the college, I can go back to school for free. And so why not take up on the opportunity to go for free education? So I think that's a amateur goal for me, is to pursue college and to overcome more of my learning disability and see what it can offer me down the road as hopefully as a career with digital media arts. And I think that, to me personally, is what makes me want to go back to school, is to push forward, not giving up, and not to, how can I say this? Not to, set up for failure, so to speak. It's gonna feel more, remind me, what's the word of the day again?
Word of the day is halcyon.
Yes, it's a halcyon for me, because it's gonna be very peaceful. I know it's gonna be a lot of stress, but I think it's gonna be the most peaceful experience that I'm going to overcome in this course that I'm going to be taking. And tomorrow will be marking 10 years that I have graduated from high school, which is hard to believe, because I'm looking through Facebook, looking at my memories, and like prom was, I can't believe I went to prom. It's just like, it feels, I'm like looking back, I'm like, wow, those were best years of my high school career. And I'm looking forward to achieving more of that now 10 years later down the road. So thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Eric. May we now please have a timers report. Mr. Tom Moran, how did our 3 contestants fare today in table topics?
Oh, I'm the timer? I wasn't aware of that. I didn't receive an introduction.
Ouch.
Let me see. Mike spoke for 1 minute, 45 seconds. Thomas for 1 minute, 52 seconds. Eric spoke for 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Each of our contestants qualified this morning for time.
Wonderful. And now over to Kate, who is our acting word master today. Kate, did all 3 of our contestants use halcyon today?
Yes, they did. It was a halcyon table topics, despite your lack of possible participants. All three used it, and Michael used it twice. Good job, Mike.
Fantastic. I'll now ask Larry to put up our polling for best table topics and turn things back to our Toastmaster of the day, Jackie Kenny.
Thank you very much, Mr. Table Topics Master. That was a good session. I appreciated your questions. They were very thoughtful. And that's part of the role of a leader in Toastmasters. It's something that you just automatically start doing as a Toastmaster. You step up to the plate, you put some thought into the role that you've been given, and you make sure that you do it to the best of your ability. When a leader shows a high level of trust and respect for the members of the group, you're more likely to make opportunities available, and you're also more likely to get that respect back from the group. You earn it by your presence and your behavior, and they return it to you. And I want to now profusely apologize to Tom Moran. I failed to introduce him as timer and give him the opportunity to explain his job, but he jumped in and performed very well. We knew we could trust you to do that, Tom. Thank you very much. And would you like to explain your job now, or do you want to just continue quietly doing it to your best?
We'll just continue quietly doing it. I had a minute and a half prepared for my explanation of timing, but it's kind of like anticlimactic now, so it wouldn't have the same effect. So I'll just continue on in anonymity here, and we'll see where it goes.
Thank you. Thank you for your gracious acceptance of my apology. Now, we are here with a little confusion this morning. I think the evaluators have all figured out what they're doing and why. So we can move on to the speech portion. And I'll tell you all that we're having 2 speeches this morning, and then I will use the time for the 3rd speech to do the installation of the incoming officers for next year. So our first speaker this morning will be Kate Orr, and her evaluator, let's see, evaluator number 1 this morning will be David Licata. Can you tell us a little bit about her speech, David?
Yes, the first thing I want to tell you about her speech is that Steve Smith is evaluating her. Thank you.
Oh, no, Steve Smith will not be evaluating Kate. You will be evaluating Kate. Steve is going to evaluate my performance as the officer installer. So what are we going to do for Kate this morning? Are you ready to wing it?
Well, unaccustomed as I am to winging it, I guess I can wing it. Is there anything you wish to share with me about what she's looking for?
Well, her title is Another Icebreaker, so I'm guessing.
Oh, well, why did
will
you
look
say
at it
so?
from that
Icebreaker.
angle.
Oh, hell. Icebreakers. I can do them in my sleep.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to disappear
It's
and grab
awful
my
when mom
pad,
and dad
but
fight.
I'll be right back.
I don't know if you heard that, David. Someone commented it's awful when mom and dad fight. All right.
Mr. Wise Guy Tom. Weisenheimer.
Every path that you start in Pathways requires you to do another icebreaker. So now this morning we have Kate Orr gracing us with another icebreaker. Kate.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster and our godmother of our club and guide and mentor. What a day with the club officer installation an exciting incoming team, a fantastic outgoing team. We are celebrating with the first time ever for our chapter luncheon on Saturday with the outgoing and incoming officer team. So that's something exciting. Even as a club that's been doing this for years and years, it's wonderful that we can try new things, whether it's Zoom because we had to, or getting together because we want to. This is another path, the one that we got for free. I hope you all redeemed it because it's past time to redeem it at this point, but you could start it anytime. And now I am beginning the path called Persuasive Influence. And I love that everyone on here has been an amazing influence upon me and upon each other. I think that's something that keeps bringing us back, whether it's at Tom's, whether it was at Friendly's, wherever it is we go in the future. I think I'll take a little quick journey on my Toastmasters path so far. A lot of you know already, but a lot of you don't. I've been in Toastmasters now almost 15 years. I can't believe it. I feel like it was yesterday, and I feel like it was decades ago all at once. And I know some of you feel the same. Upon reflecting on our sad Saturday last week, when Charlie's funeral was in the morning and Marilyn's celebration of life was in the afternoon, it was quite a day packed with memories, a day packed with connections. And I got to sit with Charlie for just a moment because my assigned seat, because of COVID, was right next to the box he was in. And I didn't know it at first, but then I realized it. And so I sat right at the back of the church where I was assigned. And before the gentleman usher came to pick up Charlie and take him through the procession, I realized it was him. And I had a chat in my mind with him. And I thanked him for all the guidance that he gave us through the years as a club and through me personally. And Marilyn, who evaluated me first ever, the original icebreaker I gave, I was scared blankless. I was so scared. She's a kind lady, but she's a powerhouse. She has a force to be reckoned with. And I was worried, I was apprehensive, but it worked out beautifully. And I felt honored that I could give her Toastmasters badge to Jim Wilkerson that day of the ceremony, that Saturday that we celebrated her life. And it was something beautiful. I got to sit with, at the tail end, Alto, and Alto Bird was there and the rest of the AM Lockport players. So I got to finally meet Jane, I think. Yes, I never met her, but I heard much about her. And it was pretty remarkable. She had set up some photo albums. Tom, you were in there too. It was quite something to see those memory albums and scrapbooks. Margot invited me first to Toastmasters. It wasn't Dave. Dave invites most. Margot invited me again and again, but I was a teacher and my schedule prohibited it, except in the summer times. So I joined officially in December of 2007, and I guess I didn't look back. And this year, what a year. So let's get back to 2007. We stayed at Friendly's for some time. Everyone always said the room is just not conducive to Toastmasters, but we come for the breakfasts. And then we had to leave kind of suddenly right before Christmas. The Friendly's chain reconfigured and shut down quite a lot of restaurants. And we had about 2 weeks notice to move. And I believe it was Dave and Ed Bird who looked across the street and took us on our next path. I've heard stories about Best Western. I've heard stories about other locations, but this is my icebreaker. I never went to those other locations that you've heard of. So then we moved to Tom's. The breakfast is okay. We get together and we offer breakfast to our guests. That's something worth getting up for. It's something we've come together for. And then COVID, and then Zoom. I always thought that Mike Reinbold and Steve Smith and some of you others who joined so many clubs, I thought, why? Why do you join so many clubs? First off, Lockport's the best anyway. AM Lockport is fantastic. And many of you say it again and again. And there's a reason we do. It is a fantastic club. But why? You join all these other clubs, you put all this other time into it. Well, I found myself doing the same thing. And AM Lockport is my home club. But then I joined that London club, and you've all heard me talk about that. Chris Lloyd Davison attended our club probably 3 times, and they in that club call him the Pied Piper because he brings back people from around the world and they become members. And it's an advanced club. And I will tell you that AM Lockport's not technically an advanced club, but from all the clubs I've been visiting, we have what an advanced club shows constantly. And that's pretty exciting. And then I'm coaching with Larry McKenzie, giving a great opportunity to me with Buffalo Flyers. And I joined the club. And then I joined Toastmasters After Dark. It's a late night club in Chicago. And now I'm going to Rhetorical Roar every other week, it seems, even though it's every week. It's every Friday at noon. And I think my husband would rather me take a break from Toastmasters anytime now, at least for the summer. We shall see. But I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying this ride. Thank you all for being a part of this journey. And Jackie, especially as a guide, as our godmother and vice president of education for so long. What a job. I'm doing it a second time because there's no way I could learn everything I need to do in the first year. And I'm excited to be your incoming and outgoing vice president of education. And by the way, we have a backup Toastmaster next week, but if anybody could be Toastmaster, if anybody wants to give a speech, please let me know. It's July 1st meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Kate.
Thank you.
And our next speech this morning will be given by Larry McKenzie. And he will be evaluated by who's stepping in? Oh, Tracy Farrell will be his evaluator. Tracy, can you tell us a little bit about his speech, please?
I can. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today, Larry is going to be giving the second speech in the dynamic leadership path. It's that speech where he has to give it the first time, he receives feedback, and then he has to incorporate that feedback in the second speech. So we all know that Larry's an excellent speaker. So when you send him his love letters, he would appreciate it. And I would appreciate it in my evaluation to give him some advice on how he can take his speech from good to great. Mr. Timer, his speech is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Tracy. Very thorough. And now we're going to hear from Larry McKenzie. Things that make you go, Larry McKenzie.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Things that make you go, Well, one of the things that made me go, is I have come to find out that I have an addiction. And that addiction is something that has troubled me pretty much all of my life. And I think it started in the childhood years when we would sit down to the dinner table, because the dinner table was an important aspect of our family when I was a young child. And I think a lot of families have got away from that, where every night we would sit down as a family and we would have dinner. The only thing is that when we sat down for dinner, if there was something on my plate, I was expected to eat what was on my plate. And I always did, and sometimes had seconds. And if there was occasionally something left over later, I might even have a little nibble on that. And so over the years, some of the things that I guess you would say were my crutches, I love bread. DiCamillo's bread was my favorite. I could sit down and eat a whole loaf of it toasted. You may have never had DiCamillo's bread. Also, bread is something that maybe you should do in moderation. Didn't know that back then. because there was this little bakery also right around the corner from us. It was called Trusello's Bakery. They made fresh bread every morning, and you had to go over there and you'd pick up the bread and you'd bring it home. And it was a little loaf of Italian bread about this big. It smelled delicious. You'd get it home and you'd cut it. And just like in my grandmother's house, we would pour a little molasses on it and then put butter on it. And then that would be our delicious treat. You had to eat that bread though the same day, because if you didn't, you could throw it through the wall because it had no preservatives or anything into it. So why am I telling you all this? Throughout the course of my life and years, I never looked at the fact of weight or anything being an issue, but it is, because depending upon our genetics and other factors, if we lead an unhealthy lifestyle by certain things we eat, a lot of processed foods, red meats, and different things, we have a tendency to become, as I was known in my younger years, as a portly young fellow. Well, it didn't hurt me in high school because I played football and all different kinds of sports. But as I progressed through life, those extra pounds here and there seem to add up. And we're not very cognizant of what we do eat. And I was one of those persons for over 50, 60 years almost, because I didn't realize that, well, that bag of Oreos, I could maybe eat one. No, I could eat the whole bag. Maybe that wasn't good for me. Well, all things come to an end at one point where you think, what am I doing? And I had that aha moment a few years ago, and I went on that roller coaster again. But on that roller coaster, instead of going down the roller coaster, I went back up and gained over 100 pounds in the last 10 years. What? That makes you go, Well, needless to say, about 4 months ago, after the pandemic and everything freed up, I went to my doctor and had blood work done. And I came to a decision that with my age, there's not a lot of people that are at my age or older that carried as much portliness or pounds that I did. So I had to make a decision. What am I going to do? Should I get back on that roller coaster, or do I make a life-changing decision? I made the life-changing decision. I decided to have gastric sleeve surgery. And I believe I shared it with some of you, and I'm not sure if I shared it with the whole group, but I'm sharing it now. And 4 months ago, when I made that decision, there was a lot of things that have transpired since then. I've met nutritionists, I've been to physical therapists, and at that point, I couldn't walk perhaps from here to around the corner without having to stop and take a little breather. I'm happy to say in that 4 months, I am down 39 and a half pounds, because what I've been doing is I've been journaling my food. I am aware of what I'm eating, and I realized that on the labels of our products that we eat, it tells you what nutritional value they have. And I said, wow, I knew that, but I never really paid attention. Now I do, because it's important to know what proteins you have, what fats you have, what carbohydrates, good sugars, bad sugars. And those are some things that I knew, but I just kind of put in that back of my head because it didn't affect me. But when your health gets to a certain point and you need to make those decisions, sometimes it's too late to make those decisions. So what I decided to do is I wanted to have a halcyon moment, that peaceful moment where I said to myself, Larry, it's time. And this is something that you have to do, not just for you, but it's something that I want to do for my family, because I don't have any intentions of going anywhere unless it's on a trip. And I wouldn't want to do that sooner than I have to. I'm very encouraged by the fact that I've been able to, what's the word? Go through all of the process. And I'm at that point now where I have a test coming up on Monday, which is called, it's an endoscopy. I get to be put asleep without having to lay down and do it on my own. They just put a little anesthesia on, and then I have an endoscopy, and then they tell me how I look inside. It's almost like the roadmap of my stomach. I'm interested to see if he would share that with me. I doubt if he will. But if he does, I'd be happy to share it with all of you, just like I'm sharing with you today, the fact that there are a lot of things through life that we look at and we don't pay attention to. One of them are things that we self-consciously eat, drink, and I have become much more aware of my surroundings, not just what's on the outside, but what I'm putting on the inside. And with that, I feel great. I'm hoping to perhaps be a svelte young gentleman, and perhaps I could even go snow skiing with Dave Licata sometime, or is that snowshoeing or whatever you call that? But whatever it may be, I'll report back later. And you know what? Remember, there's always things that make you go, why are they doing that? Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Larry. Now we're going to take care of some solemn business that needs to be addressed before the new officers take on their roles. They need to be installed in those positions. So we're going to go through each role one by one. And although we can't pass the gavel back and forth like we would if we were meeting in person, we'll still try to do everything that we need to do to make sure that they understand their roles and they're ready to take them on. So first, I am going to speak to Len Thornton. Len joined the club in October of 2003, and I know he served in a number of positions in the past. Now he's going to take on Sergeant at Arms, which will require him to arrange the meeting location, not too hard right now, and maintain our equipment. He's been doing that as a backup for a long time without being asked. He's going to make sure we have all the supplies we need and greet guests and make sure the meeting begins on time. Len Thornton, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you. Consider yourself installed as Sergeant of Arms. Next, we have our treasurer's position. Sylvia Baptiste has only been with us since 2016, but she has taken on roles in the past. She's been our treasurer and she's willing to do it again. Kudos for that, Sylvia. You're going to keep our financial records and prepare our club budget, such as it is, explain the dues structure to members and collect dues and get them delivered on time to World Headquarters. Sylvia Baptiste, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you, Sylvia. You are now installed as our incoming treasurer. We're going to skip over the secretary and move right on to the VP of Public Relations, Samir Rahman. Samir became a Toastmaster in June of 2004, but he joined AM Lockport in April of 2020. He's willing to be the VP of Public Relations, attracting visitors to the club through publicity, using whatever means he can to promote the club in the community and involve fellow members in PR activities. He's going to recognize member achievements with announcements, newsletters, emails, etc., and make sure our faces are in the newspaper whenever possible. Samir Rahman, are you willing to perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I am, and I will.
Thank you, Samir. You are now installed as the VP of Public Relations. Our next position is the VP of Membership, and that will be Jill Roaring. Jill's been coming to meetings for a long time. She finally joined the club in May of 2018. Her duties will include leading the membership in efforts to build the club and keep it healthy, motivating people to visit our club, and giving new members applications and gathering their dues to submit to the treasurer. Meeting guests, all of us need to be doing that, and representing our club when needed at council meetings. Jill Roaring, are you willing to do these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I am, and I will do so.
Thank you very much. You are now officially the VP of Membership. Finally, we come to Kate Orr, who is our VP of Education currently and will continue in that job in the coming year. We know that that's a tough job. It's only 4 schedules. You're going to help members get in all the speeches and projects that they need. You're going to make sure that that schedule is done and ready. You'll preside over meetings when the president is absent, and you're going to work with club members and support them through their journey. Are you willing, Kate, to do these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. And you are reinstalled in your position. And finally, we come to Thomas Heldwine. I'm hoping he's still on with us. I'm not seeing him. I think Thomas's job called him away. So we won't be able to install Thomas as president. And I know he's eager to do that job. He hasn't been a member for very long, but he wanted to step up into that responsibility. So we'll install him at some point, maybe during the social hour tonight. And that is the conclusion of our necessary business. So now we can move on to our evaluation portion of our meeting. And our first evaluator will be David Licata, giving us an evaluation. And I know he's ready for this. Tell us what you thought about Kate's speech this morning, David.
Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. What I first noticed about Katie's speech is that an evaluator, I'm always looking for how is that speaker going to rope us in? And she did it by reminiscing about the different places we have met. That was an excellent tool. That did a great job and brought back some memories. It's hard to remember Best Western, though. That was a long time ago, but certainly we remember Friendlies and Tom's Diner. Katie is an excellent speaker, so it always makes it a joy when we see that she's on the schedule. However, I thought her beginning, middle, and end could have been a bit better. It could have been more well-defined. And 2 weeks ago, I was evaluating somebody, or maybe it was last week, and I entreated them to stand up. So that's why I was gone. That's why I had a little blank. I adjusted my tripod so I could stand up because it's better that way. And Katie, when you don't stand up, we get gypped. We don't see your arsenals of gestures, and you're staring off to one side. Katie, the speeches and everybody here, this is for everybody, they're better head on. So, in the words of Michael Mathers, Eminem, please stand up. I am the one that always talks about tools during my evaluations. I'm not going to talk about Katie's tools. She has plenty of tools. And I'm going to talk about her talent, what God gave her. She is so incredibly warm. And we know that when she's going to speak, that we can trust what she is saying, and her warmth and her talent envelop us as an audience. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, David. And now we'll hear from Tracy Farrell, giving us an evaluation of Larry McKenzie's speech. Tracy.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Larry. Things that make me go, Larry's one of our best speakers in the club, and I've always admired him, and he's my go-to person when he gives speeches because I always have to get his opinion on how to present something. And in this speech, he was very honest, and I love it when people are extremely honest because then you really connect with the audience about it. So he did an excellent job on that. He was great with his gestures. I loved when he said, "What?" in his tone. He talked about the roller coaster and his experiences. One of the things I noticed, and this is probably just because he hadn't practiced the speech a lot, is there was a lot of restarts in it, and he restarted both words and phrases. If I was to do this speech, I would probably organize it as an inspirational speech. Started off with the problems of being overweight and talk about his younger years. And he I would have really gone in and explained the bread and talk about those Italian bakeries in Niagara Falls and the smell of the warm bread and butter, just to make us really imagine. And yeah, I want some of that bread too. It's good. And that's kind of the moment. And then work it up to the moment that made you decide, wait a minute, I can't eat this bread anymore. That changing point, and describe what made you change your ideas of going forward. And you did talk about that. You talked about your family. Tell us more about your hopes and dreams and skiing with Dave Licata. And then go on to your journey after you've done that. You talked about your journaling, the nutritionist, the therapy. Tell us what a difficult journey it is, but it's so worth it. And then describe the success. That's your high point, success. 40 pounds in 4 months. What an achievement. Another thing I noticed before your speech, you had some background pictures that you were testing out that never made it into the speech. So to make this speech from good to great, incorporate those background pictures. And then hopefully at the end of the speech or in your second speech, as you look back on this journey, you can tell us about these halcyon days. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tracy. And Steve Smith, I requested Steve to do an evaluation of my installation of officers, such as it was. So maybe Steve could tell us a little bit now what he thought about that. Steve.
Yep. Here we go. Well, right off the bat, you explained how this would have to be a little different because of the Zoom format versus doing it live. You explained why it would be different, and you handled it with great aplomb, I thought. You explained how you wouldn't be able to do the normal procedure of passing the gavel around. Okay, we can deal with that. But I like the way you called each officer one at a time, introduced the officer, told us a little bit about that person, then went on to explain the duties of the office that they were getting into, and then beautifully announced them installed. And you went through that very well, went very smoothly, which is great considering what we're working with here. Then you had a little hitch at the end because Thomas Hellwine wasn't available. You handled that nicely and moved right along. I thought that you did a very good job. Despite the circumstances, you did a very good job and went well. And I'm very happy to hear our whole new slate of officers. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Steve. Enjoy your coffee. Now we need a timer's report. Mr. Timer, where are you, Mr. Timer? Could we have a report, please?
First of all, I think an average Toastmaster would have been intimidated by this whole process here this morning. However, I completed my task this morning. The time for the speeches this morning, Kate spoke for 7:02. Now, I don't know what to do about that because the timing for table topics is 4 to 6, and she is an experienced Toastmaster, and I'm assuming she saw the lights okay, so I don't know how we're going to work that out. Larry spoke 7 minutes 33 seconds, which was for a 5 to 7 minute speech was appropriate. Jackie spoke for 4 minutes and 41 seconds. I don't know what the timing is for installation of officers, so I was kind of up in the air. We'll have to decide about that.
We could call it
Now-
5 to 7.
Okay. So I believe you would have qualified then at 5 to 7. Now, do you want the evaluators
Please.
times as well at this time? Dave, his evaluation was 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Tracy's evaluation was 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Steve's evaluation was 1 minute and 41 seconds. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. And now you can go, you can go ahead and vote. I see a very interesting opportunity to vote here. We can, I've tried contacting Thomas Heldwine. His little image is open there with his background, but Thomas is nowhere to be found. So I guess we're not going to be able to get that installation done this morning. Instead, we'll move into our reports once we have the voting for the evaluator. If we could have that, Larry. Did we put that up? You are muted.
As soon as the other poll comes down, I'll put that one up.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So we'll just move along. We can start having our reports. And first of all, I'd like to hear from Master Beth Banks. Beth, tell us how we did this morning in the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Oh,
You're not supposed to be on. Go ahead.
okay.
Ask if they can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. We seem to use connector words a lot today. For example, so and they seem to be the favorites for most people to use. We had Michael using so, Dave using so, Thomas, Eric, Kate used so in order to connect what they were talking about. And it wasn't really necessary to use those words. So Eric likes, it's like, that is one thing that he uses. Tracy, you surprised me. You're so good and used kinda and But aside from that, I believe our meeting went very well in terms of those ahs and pregnant pauses. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Beth. And now we'll hear from Margot, our grammarian this morning. Margot.
Good morning. So it was not the most halcyon of days today at Toastmasters. I turned off my camera so you wouldn't see how much I was writing. But I realize we have a lot of time and I don't want the timer to start timing me for a speech. So here is my report. We had some wonderful uses of phrase. I loved hearing reminiscing. Dave had an arsenal of gestures. That was a great phrase to hear. Jackie, your vocabulary was right on top today, profusely. However, we have a new filler word. And I'm going, there's a double and for you, to credit this one actually to Kate. I think we all want to remember your new last name, Kate, because I heard or a number of times as a connector word. So let's think about that one a little bit if we can. We had some cousins, some start overs, so to speak. I thought that was an interesting phrase to use. It didn't need to be there at all. A number of times we had people adding phrases because they didn't know how to end their sentence. A masterful job at it. A masterful job, period. We had a lot of I thinks, I think, and I, and I don't mean to step on your report, Bess, because I picked up on a lot of the same things you did with the so's and the ands. I loved Larry's use of the word svelte. Wonderful word, nice Yiddish word to use today. Wing it was great. I also heard some self-deprecating speech today. At the end, people sort of said, I think, or I like, or I kinda. We're in Toastmasters. Speak with confidence and let's move forward. And as you know, in my path, I'm doing different parts of Toastmasters. So perhaps my next speech better be the Idiot's Guide to Being Grammarian. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. And we are in need of a report on tech and gestures from Moklis. Please let us know how we did this morning, Moklis.
Good morning. First of all, we should always have a toast. Maybe it will be at the end, but I want to toast the new officers who took pledge today to serve our club. Second is, I did a chat room survey just to see if other tools are being used in this room. And I am pleased to announce 14 of them responded or chatted out of 19 people. That is marvelous. I think that's excellent because chat is another way of silently communicating without disturbing the flow of the meeting. Third item is the background. I think the trophy goes to Jill Rowling. She's always changing the background to different, greenery, flowers of the current from her own garden. I think this enriches the overall process of the meeting. What else? Many good gestures. I think Pledge of Allegiance is one of them that we should try to show as much with the hand if possible. If not, that's okay too. Overall gestures were good, but as many people have suggested, including Dave Licata, if you stand, which of course you don't see, then it is better, but at this time there is still a lot of limitation. Finally, mute, unmute. I think we are doing wonderfully well. I hope with the physical meeting, this mute, unmute button would disappear. And hoping to return to halcyon days after the pandemic is over. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. We all hope to return to those halcyon days. Somewhere down the road, we'll get this going again. Our quiz master probably has some questions for us this morning. Mark Campos.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning once again. I just have a few questions this morning. First off, what type of award did Michael Licata receive?
Attendance.
Correct. And according to Michael, what is the key to success?
Showing up.
Showing up.
Showing up, just showing up. I agree. Eric Schneider will be studying what when he returns to college?
Visual communications.
Digital something.
Media.
Media, yeah.
Media arts.
Digital media arts. Very good. And how long has it been since he completed high school?
10 years.
10 years.
How many years has Kate been a Toastmaster?
Ooh,
15.
That's 15.
23.
More.
Almost
15.
15 years. She joined in December 2007.
2007. Yep.
How much weight has Larry lost in the last 4 months?
36.
30 something.
39,
39?
39.
39 pounds.
39 and a half.
Correct, 39 and a half. In
Every
what-
little bit counts.
Every half
Well,
counts on that
it's
scale.
attention to detail that should separate us from all other Toastmasters. We have to be precise. What year did Samir first join Toastmasters?
2004.
Correct. And lastly, this is a two-part question. According to David Licata, what is Eminem's real name?
Michael.
Michael.
Michael
Mathers.
Mathers.
You're so
And-
close. He's
And
close.
what is his real name?
Marshall.
Marshall.
Mathers.
Marshall Mathers. So,
Hey, I
you know,
came
David,
close. Came close.
David, considering your legendary prowess in terms of obscure fact retention and knowledge of trivia, this represents a stunning failure and one that we will probably never forget. Madam
My
Toastmaster.
problem is I really, really detest Marshall Mathers.
This
Things
is
that
not,
make
this
you
is not
go-
horseshoes or hand grenades.
He has to get that last word in. Thank you, Mark. And last but not least, doing double duty today, Kate Banks, can you give us a report on the word halcyon?
I will. Thank you so much, Madam Toastmaster. Phil used it. You used it. Larry used it. Tracy and Moklis in his report and in the chat. So maybe he wins. He did double duty on that. And I didn't understand your survey, Moklis. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I don't call the chat box or chat window a chat room. So I'm thinking, are you inviting us to a chat room? Are we going to a chat room? Do we use chat rooms? I haven't used a chat room in I don't know how long. So I'm sorry. I guess the coffee, I need more or something like that. And I also, if I'd remembered you were tech master, it would have maybe connected. So thank you for doing that. And chat is a great tech we should be using. In any case, our halcyon years are ahead of us, I think. Thank you. Margot's got an announcement or something. Oh, did I not say your name? You used it. I'm sure you used it.
Yes, she did use it. All right. It looks like Thomas Heldman got called away. He's not come back. His little box is still up there, but there's no person in it, and he hasn't responded to my messages. So we'll just have to save him for a later date, or maybe this evening. I hope everyone will support our new slate of officers and help them with their jobs, whether they're familiar or unfamiliar with what they're going to be doing. There's a lot of difficulty, especially trying to do these things on Zoom. We don't have all the opportunities we might have had normally, but I know all of you will be there for our slate of officers, and hopefully soon we'll be meeting in person and some of these difficulties will dissolve. So thank you all for being here this morning and for your attention to detail. And I will turn things back over to the officer of the day, who is also my general evaluator. Sylvia, please give us a report on today's meeting, and then you can wrap things up. Thank you.
What a crazy meeting this morning. It was fun, a fun meeting. And Jackie, you were very organized. You signed in at 6:44 this morning, bright and early. You were the third person after Larry and I. And I was telling Larry how nervous I was to do this job, so I had to get on early and make sure I didn't screw it up, come late. They would be awful. The evaluators, I enjoyed both of them. Tracy, really, I know she's not on, but using her hands a lot. If she stood up, we got to see more of her gestures, and that would have been nice to see. David, you have come a long way with Zoom. You had your camera perfectly in the middle, so you were there. You moved back so we could see the gestures because you wanted to get your point across. Good sandwich approach. And by telling Kate to stand up, her gestures would have been more seen, and I enjoyed that evaluation. And let's see, Steve, I couldn't find anything I would have changed on your evaluation. It looked good all the way around. And it's very hard to evaluate a good Toastmaster like Jackie. She filled in her spots, even though people didn't show up. Maybe, I don't know, Jackie, if you looked at the agenda afterwards to see if everybody confirmed their roles. If they did, shame on them. They should have, made sure they filled them. And if they knew they weren't coming, or at least notify you. Other than that, I know I have many ums, Margot and Duff. Today is the day of ums and restarts. I don't have anything else, but I do know Eric wants to take a minute or two to say a word before I close the meeting up and announce the winners today. So Eric?
Thank you, Sylvia. Hi, everybody, again. Now I move from one location to another. Yeah, thank God I'm not driving. Anyway, I just want to say hi. It's been a while, and I just wanted to say thank you to the presiding officers who took over my role as president. So thank you to Samir, Ryan, Sylvia, and Jill. And like I said, this has been an amazing ride being as your club president. And, this has been truly an honor. And I want to thank my team for, doing what they do. I'm proud of them. I'm looking forward to see the new slate of officers taking on, some of them taking on the same role and in new roles. So thank you so much for allowing me to be your president. I am looking forward to going back to school, and I'm looking forward to show you guys my progress in school and beyond. So thank you all so much. Love you all. Thank you so much. And good luck to the new incoming officers. We look forward to working with you and hopefully for a wonderful year ahead. So thank you so much. Sylvia, if you want to close the meeting, go ahead. If you want me to close the meeting, I don't care which. So it's up to you.
I'm going to announce the winners, and then I'll get to Dave Lucetta. He has an announcement. Dave, you want to go first before I announce the winners?
Eric, no one allowed you to be president. You earned it. You're an outstanding young man, and you did a great job as president. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
All right. For our best evaluator this morning, Tracy. And table topics winner, Eric. And best speaker of the day, Larry McKenzie. So that is it. Any other announcements?
I would like to say something.
Go ahead, Jill.
Last week I had to bug out because I had a bad toothache, which I originally had an appointment at 3:30 that day. They called about 20 after 9 and said, if you can be here at 10 o'clock, we'll take you. So Steve and I went running to Lockport, and the doctor did all kinds of things, and she looked and looked and looked, and she discovered I have a cracked tooth.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm on antibiotics and waiting for an August 9th appointment at this point.
Wow.
For the fix, because if she gets into fixing it and finds out it is beyond salvation, she did not want to be the one to pull it. She wanted the surgeon type of guy that works there to be there just in case. And he does do a good job pulling teeth, as I sadly can say. The other thing is the word halcyon. I actually do have a hosta in my garden. It's not in that picture. That is named halcyon. Yeah.
Thank you, Jill. Thomas did jump back in. He was able to come in. Jackie, would you like to do the installation for Thomas at this time?
Good morning, Thomas. I'm glad you got back. Thomas Heldwin, you would be holding the gavel if we were doing this in person, which would be the symbol of the power and authority that your club has given you during your term of office. I'm hoping that you would use it wisely and with restraint. As a member of AM Lockport, Thomas Heldwin, will you work with your executive team and club members to make AM Lockport a President's Distinguished Club this year?
Yes, I will.
Will all the members please join me now in welcoming Thomas Heldwin as our incoming president? He's accepting his duties and he is installed as president. By the power and authority vested in me as the mom in good standing of this club, it is my sincere pleasure to declare these Toastmasters officers all installed in their respective club offices. Cheers to all of you.
Mom, I'm sorry we had a fight. I'm sorry.
It's not the first one, David, and it won't be the last, I'm sure. Back to you, Madam President.
Okay, last call for announcements. Going once, going twice. I adjourn this meeting today. Thank you, everyone.